What Texas has devised is a bizarre, dystopian, vigilante system for hunting women in Texas who seek abortions. A vigilante system to effectively ban abortion and shut down all abortion providers in the state, not to mention terrorizing women who are seeking the procedure. But they're using not the direct power of the state, but instead anti-abortion activists as their vigilantes and the state court system as their means of doing it. It is weird. It is deliberately weird. And as our friend Dahlia Lithwick explains at Slate.com today, it is a, quote, convoluted system that Texas Republicans devised on purpose, specifically to prevent federal courts from blocking this law. And so far, Dahlia writes, they've succeeded.
Yeah, and so what this does now is it takes the claims of people who were not harmed by your decision with your doctor. It takes those people out of federal court and it puts them in the state court. It moves those cases to Texas state courts where you can bring your claim, and if you're successful, you get the bounty. You get the 10 grand and you get all the legal fees that you shelled out. Now, who would do that? Well, for starters, churches. The Texas law has energized the churches who are anti-abortion. Mark Lee Dickinson, who is the director of the Right to Life for East Texas, said he knew many people who were eager to sue abortion providers when the law takes effect. Last year, he pushed for an ordinance in Lubbock, Texas, a local ordinance. The legal structure of that ordinance was similar to this one, okay? And more than 200 churches were part of that effort. Churches are going to start hunting women, not just for the bounty, but to keep women afraid, to keep women terrified, to keep them barefoot and pregnant and poor. Because women with means can leave the state. Women with means can go anywhere they want to go. They can go to LA from Dallas. They can fly from Houston to, Nevada. They can go. But poor women who can't afford to go, right now in Lubbock, okay, they were successful in shutting down the Planned Parenthood there to the point where the Planned Parenthood there stopped doing abortions because the onslaught from the churches, okay, was... Now, they're not concerned with feeding the children. They're not concerned with clothing the children. They're not concerned with educating children. They're not concerned with the children's exposure to COVID by lunatic, fringy people who think, ivermectin is somehow going to help them avoid contracting COVID, which it will not, or that ivermectin can somehow cure them if they have COVID, which it will not, or hydroxychloroquine, or any of their weirdness, okay, that allows children to be exposed to lunatic adults who won't put a mask on to protect. They're not interested in protecting any children. In fact, the number of children that have contracted COVID is at an all-time high. 52% of America is vaxxed, meaning half of America is not. And the children who are going back to school are getting COVID from unvaccinated people. I mean, it's just so unbelievable. We're over 160,000 new cases a day every day now. We're over that. There are 100,000 people, adults, hospitalized with COVID in this country. 1,211 deaths a day yet again. And we're facing a holiday weekend, Labor Day, where everybody's going to want to do stuff. And you have half the country refusing to put a mask on, refusing to get a vaccination. And I mean, this is so unbelievable. But they love children, you see. Not feeding them, not clothing them, not protecting them, not housing them, not they will cage them if they're a certain shade of melanin. If they have a certain melanin content, let them die, I guess. I don't know. I mean, but here you have churches who are part of this effort to shut women out of privacy rights. Wow. How creepy are we going to allow ourselves to get, anybody? Is there a bright red line for you that you won't go below in your creepiness? I just this one. I would hate to be president right now. I mean, honestly, New Orleans has no electricity. People are about at their wits' end there, and I understand it because it's that hot here. It's that hot and moist and humid here in South Florida. And, you know, we went through a hurricane like this. We went through Wilma, and it was 3 weeks of no electricity. Now, I will say that they're doing a slightly better job in New Orleans. East New Orleans is starting to see some of their electricity come back online. But you have New Orleans, there's gas shortages there. They can't keep generators running. They're out of food. They're out of housing. They're out of the, I mean, you got COVID rampant in Louisiana. You have, you know, a war that he just ended in Afghanistan, standing up to these freaking generals of his that got it wrong for 20 years and saying, no. He's got, you know, the right wing trying to impeach him, not because he did anything bad or wrong or illegal or criminal. No, because they want their pound of flesh, right? Because Donald Trump committed many, many crimes, okay? He obstructed justice in the Mueller investigation 10 different times. We know that. We didn't impeach him for that. We didn't impeach him for tax fraud. We didn't impeach him for, calling the National Guard out on, peaceful protesters. No, we only punished him for 2 crimes. One was shaking down a U.S. ally's military ability to fend off an invasion from Russia, right? And today he hosted President Zelensky from Ukraine, Biden did, trying to clean up this mess that was left for him, right? So what was Trump looking for? He wanted Zelensky to give him dirt on Joe Biden, which didn't exist, and he shook down an ally and threatened their military budget, threatened their military aid, so that they could fend off an invasion from Russia, who likes to invade their neighbors, in order to get fake made-up dirt on Joe Biden to win an election. Then he lost the election and incited an insurrection, violence against Congress members, against senators, and against his own vice president. Those were the 2 crimes we did impeach him for. Somehow, the Republicans have it in their head that those things weren't criminal, and so we need to impeach Biden 3 times to outdo the 2 times that Trump was impeached for crimes, for actual crimes. And we didn't even impeach Trump for all his crimes. It's a civil war. You understand that? Do you understand? Right now it might be a cold civil war, but they are threatening violence. You know that. You've heard them. Time to kick some ass. Matthew Cawthon, this miscreant, okay, this bully who is paralyzed because of a drunk driving accident, is telling people, gee, it would really suck if we had to resort to shooting each other. It would really suck if we had to, actually deal with bloodshed, American against American, but it might become necessary if we don't get our way. How far are you going to go with this? How far? Don't have time to listen to a live show? Want to hear more on your schedule? Go to randyrhodes.com and buy a stinking podcast.